Hi everyone. Today's video is going to be a digital tutorial using the Silhouette Studio Designer Edition. Now, you don't have to own a Silhouette in order to benefit from this particular tutorial. The reason is I don't even have my Silhouette here with me right now in Ecuador. It's still in Texas. But I do prefer designing on it and still using the print feature even though I don't have it with me at this moment. So what I'm going to use it for today is to show you how you can practice designing something digitally before you actually turn it into a paper project. So I like to visually be able to see my project before I actually sit down and do it with paper and glue and everything else, especially if I'm using images that I'm importing. Today I'm going to be using actually a photo that I myself took of a hummingbird in Mindo, Ecuador. I'm going to be making ATC cards. They measure 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. I thought these would be good gifts to give to our friends when we visit back in the States. It's an inexpensive way for me to give them something original from me that is from Ecuador without costing a lot of money. So on the back, I'm going to have our address and my WhatsApp phone number and email address. A lot of my friends have asked me for that, but here it's been kind of complicated to get an address. That's a whole other story. Since our building is brand new, things are done kind of different here. So we finally got an address. So I'm going to give that to them when we travel back, and I'll put it on the back of these ATC cards. So today I'm going to digitally design it first. So I'm going to have two parts to this tutorial. If you're interested in seeing how you can digitally plan your projects online for free, you might be interested in this tutorial. If you're only interested in seeing the mixed media portion of it, then go ahead and watch the next video. I'll try to post both of them around the same time, at least a day or two from each other, so that you don't have to wait too long to see one or the other. So the digital one, this video, will go up first, and this is using the Silhouette Studio Edition. Now this is a free download. You can download it for free from Silhouette's website. And I use it even though I don't have the machine here. Many of you have asked me, what happened to your Silhouette Cameo? Technically, I still own it, but it's in the United States. I could only bring one machine with me at a time. The reason is when you come through the airport, you're only allowed to bring in $500 worth of personal goods per person. And that pricing is based upon what the items cost in Ecuador, not what they cost in the US. So for example, my Silhouette Cameo may only be like $200 in the US, but here I'll post a picture at the store. It's anywhere from $450 to $495. So if I had brought my Cameo and my Cricut in at the same time, I would have been already maxed over for myself. So I only brought one machine this time. I'll bring the other one with me on our next trip. So I do still own it, and I still use the design software, and I'll show you today how I'm going to use it to plan a project. So today we're going to plan a mixed media ATC. So here for this file, you can see I have the ATC card all laid out. This is the actual size of my ATC card, 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I'm using a 1/4 inch corner rounder to round my edges on my actual background piece. So I used this draw a rounded rectangle option. I also drew another one slightly smaller at 3.25 inches and 2.25 inches. That is what my actual map is going to be printed on. This symbolizes a brad that I'm going to put on there. The brads are from this Lost and Found collection here by My Mind's Eye. You'll see a better photo of these on the next video when I'm actually doing the mixed media tutorial. You'll see a better close-up of these. This is a pretty old line. I've been hoarding it for way too long and it's time to use it. The colors matched this hummingbird very well, so I figured it was time to use it. This collection, when I looked it up today, was created in 2011. Now, I don't think I bought these brads that far back, but I would guess about 2012 or 2013. So it's time to use those up. I'm going to be using the 9 smallest brads here for this particular design. Again, I have a total of around 50 ATC cards that I'm going to be making. So these first 9 are going to be of this design. So I'm going to be using this South America map with a tiny brad and then also a little stamp that I had found online that says Correos del Ecuador. That's the mail service, general mail service here in Ecuador. Now, it does cost a lot more than 5 cents. That's more of a vintage stamp image that's on here. So I'm going to print out a whole bunch of those. And then this is the actual hummingbird that I took a photo of. I'll include a picture of that hummingbird right here. So that picture of the hummingbird I took in Mindo, Ecuador. I converted it into a painted file by using an app on my iPhone. That way I could paint it more easily with my Lindy Stamp Gang Magical Micas. From that photo you can see the iridescence on the hummingbird's neck and on its back, and the Magical Micas will really capture that. I thought a straightforward photo printed out on paper would just look too odd on a mixed media piece. So that's why I felt it best to convert it into a painted file so that it'll blend better with my piece when I put it on there. So all I did here was make sure that the bird is nicely proportioned. I'm actually going to show you how to cut this out using a feature on the silhouette design space itself. But let me show you how I put all of this together first. Now, you'll want to import your images into Silhouette depending on how you're wanting to use the image. So I'll show you the examples here. So first of all, I created my general background. Draw a rounded rectangle. The reason why I did a rounded rectangle is because my I'm going to be using a corner rounder on my background piece of paper that I cut out. Now, if you want, you can just copy and paste as many of these on your page right here and have Silhouette cut out every single one of them for you. So here I'm just going to touch this square and I'm going to go to open the scale window, take the lock off. I know it's 2.5 inches wide and it's 3.5 inches tall. So here's my overall size. Next, I know I want my map to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to draw another rectangle here. Again, make sure the lock aspect ratio is off. Make this one smaller, 2.25 by 3.25, and click Apply. Now, if I highlight both of these objects, go up here and click on Open the Align window, Center, you'll see where my map is going to be is quite a bit smaller than my background itself. So you'll see this section of My Patterns. Let me show you how to get them into My Patterns. In Windows, you can open your files side by side. So this is just where I have all my files saved for these ATC cards that I'm making. In particular, I'll show you in a minute why I chose to upload the map portion into My Patterns. If you want to upload something into My Patterns in the Silhouette Studio, all you do is find your object, hold your mouse, and copy it over and release your mouse. Now I already have this object here, so I'm not going to add it again, but that's how you add it there. So after you have your patterns uploaded, you can also upload your images. Now my birds I decided to do as images. So I'm going to click on this folder that says My Own Designs. And then I'm just going to click on both of those hummingbirds that I converted into paintings. And so you'll see it's 2 items selected. And I'm just going to copy them over to My Own Designs. Let go of the mouse, and there they are. So let's go over here, back again to our project. So it decided to pick up the last picture that I added in there. We'll come back to that one later. So for My Patterns, let's click on this right here, open the fill window. Make sure that this inside rectangle is selected and that your dimensions are showing, so that when you choose your pattern, it will actually take place. So I'm going to scroll all the way down and find the maps that I had imported. And you'll see I imported different colored ones. I changed them into different colors with another app. I used the Photoshop Express app. It's available for free in Windows. I believe it's available for Apple as well. So that fit right there. Now the reason why I chose to make this one in my pattern section is I knew I wanted to be able to adjust this. You'll see down here, South America did not quite fit into the design that I have. So I want to be able to pan this over and fit this object better the way that I want it, because I want those words to show. Okay, so I'll click on Advanced Options. I'm still in the Fill Pattern option. Click on Advanced Options, scroll down, and you'll see this one that says Pan Pattern. So again, make sure your dimensions are showing, and then click on the Pan Pattern icon. Then you'll see this little crosshair appear. Can't even talk today. So you'll hold on to that and move it over slightly. And there you go. Now my South America shows just the way I want it. So then all I did was I guesstimated that my brad was going to be about 0.25 inches. So to draw a perfect circle, click on the Draw an Ellipse, hold down the Shift button, and then your left mouse button, and you have a perfect circle. So I'm going to about 2.25. It doesn't have to be exact because, again, I'm not printing and cutting this. This was just simply for me to have it on there to be able to see it. So that's about the size it's going to be. And the color, I have some copper ones. We can change that color to be maybe another green. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and then I did the same thing with the stamps that I did with the birds. I want to make sure nothing is selected. If something is selected, it'll fill that object. So I don't have anything selected. Now I can double click on that stamp. And I can scale it down to how I want. I can turn it and kind of imagine how I would put it on here. And there you have it. So that's how I kind of put the design together, and then all I did was add my hummingbird. That way I could see how I should scale it down to be the right size to go in here. Now it's hard to see when it's so opaque. So what I do is I say send backward. That way, actually let's do this. This will be faster. Bring to front these two embellishments, because I know those are placed where I want them and that I want the bird in between those embellishments. So now when I bring the bird back in, you can see how he fits or how he doesn't fit. And he fits pretty good at that size. So now I know that that's the size of the bird that I'm going to want in there as well. So then what I can do is start deleting out my elements and making my individual pages. So let's make a new page. So this one would strictly be a cut file. I do not need to use, registration marks, because I'm not going to print this. I'm going to take this background piece right here. I'm going to hit copy, paste, bring it to this new page, object, and replicate, and I'll say fill page. So here you have 8 cards that you can just click the cut button right here, send to silhouette, and the silhouette will cut out all those ATC cards for you. You don't have to manually cut them or corner round them or anything. So that is a nice feature about being able to just design within your Silhouette Studio and then sending it straight over to your Silhouette. So now I'll start another page. So you can save this one for future, and you can just save it as ATC background. And now you never have to recreate this file. You have perfectly rounded cornered 2.5 by 3.5 inch ATC cards to cut out. So now let's create another file. So now I'm going to take my map, I'm going to hit copy and paste. This one is a print and cut. So this one I do have to treat differently. I'll need to go over here, open the registration marks, Silhouette Cameo. These insets, I usually type 0 and let it auto fix it to where it wants. That way I get the most out of my page. So now you can see it's there, and with this one I can do the same thing. Touch it, click Object, replicate, fill page. Now sometimes when you use fill page, it doesn't really fill the page because it's trying to figure out how to put things in the best way possible, and it doesn't always figure out that best way. So this is where I manually go in and I just start pasting them and overlapping them where I think they'll fit. You'll see here, you don't want to go below that registration line because it won't print past that. So what you'll want to do here is you can rotate your object, and that way you can still fit more in here and be within the boundaries of those registration marks. So when I clicked autofill, it only fit 4, but really I could fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these will all print and cut. So I'll do File, Save As, ATC Background. This one I will call Map Blue. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to print that out on my greaseproof paper, or you can print it on tissue paper, because that's what I'm going to use to put it on top of this. This I'm going to cut out an 8.5 by 11 sheet of manila folder, and then you can put that on your mat, and it would cut that out. So I'm not doing the brads, so I deleted that little green brad because that's not going to be an object that I'm using. So let's create another page. So on this page, again, it's going to be a print and cut for that postage stamp. So I need to turn on my registration marks. Again, to get the most amount of space, I'm going to click all of these down to 0. So I want to grab this postage stamp because this is the one that has been sized to fit my project. So I'm going to hit copy and paste. Now, I'll go ahead and straighten it out. If you hit the Shift key and then touch this green circle, it'll go back to being straight for you. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to bring it way up here, click on my object, replicate, fill page. Let's see how it does this time. It did much better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that gives me 54 postage stamps. So that's plenty since there are 50 ATC cards. So I should only have to print this and cut it one time. Now, this is just an image, unlike these others. See, when I designed these others, I designed them with a cut line in place. This one does not have a cut line in place yet. So what we need to do is select all of our items, click on this little icon, open the trace window, select trace area, we're going to turn high pass filter off, threshold all the way up, and you'll see they make perfect little yellow rectangles. We're going to click Trace Outer Edge. Now, every single one of these is individually a cut item. So if you want to check to make sure that those cut lines really did fill out, you can move them around and you'll see there they are. So all I'll just do is hit undo, put everything back. So now I'll save this as another file, and I'll just call this one Stamps. So now you can print and cut all of these pages to have the ephemera that you need for your ATC card. Now this one is a little different. Let's see how to handle the bird. So again, let's create another new file, and we want to take the bird again from this project because he's been sized to fit this exactly. So I'm going to again click copy and paste. Now since this is also a print and cut, same thing. We need to go over here and turn our registration marks on. Reduce all of these down to our minimum space. And move the bird. Now the first thing I want to do is to create my cut file for this bird. Instead of drawing lines, we're going to draw a curve shape. Why I choose the curve one is it tends to follow the flow, especially when you have rounded pieces like this. So select on Draw a Curve Shape, and I'm going to start at the end of this branch. And you'll see the points will follow you. So if in doubt, do more points. Take your time and go around your piece as intricately as you can. More dots, the better. Come to your end of your project, double click and it'll connect it and make it all one piece. Click on the arrow and move your object out of the way. and then you'll be able to see if you got a continuous object or not. Sometimes when you're working on a project, you may get some little errors or smudges like these. For example, these didn't connect all the way. You can see this menu over here allows you to make the edits that you want. All you have to do is click on that area, double click on that line, and then reconnect it to your previous line, and you'll get it where you need to. Here I have an extra little line that I don't want, so let me zoom in. And here you can do the same thing. You can either take this point and squish it back to right there, or you can even delete points. Like this one here, I can say, well, that's the beginning of a line, so it won't let me do that. But if you have ones that cross connect too much, you can delete a point. For example, this one here, I can delete it and it'll smooth it out automatically. So again, it doesn't have to be exact. We're going for a good cut. And then you can see the bird fits right in there. And we're going to get a close enough cut for what I need for this project. You want to make sure that you really got it in there. Do so like that. There we go. Okay. So now what I'll do is group all of this together so that my cut line moves with my image. Now I can click on my object and replicate, fill page. Now it's probably going to do the same thing. It only gave me 4. So again, you can push your limits on these. You know what you need versus what you don't need. I really don't need all of that to be printed. So it's okay if this section is up here in my gray area. My cut line, let me show you. My cut line is what's important. That's the portion of the image I'm using. So that's the part that I need to make sure I'm not interfering with. So again, same thing for this one. My beak is not in that gray area. So it's okay to go ahead and push the boundaries with those and put them as high as you want.
So you'll see with these birds, I did go ahead and overlap them on the image slightly.
And that's because it doesn't matter, because my cut lines for those images are going to be higher. I'm not using this bottom area space of these images, and the top isn't affected at all. I'm only caring about the area that is around the bird itself. Okay, so now I can save as. And print and cut those out. So cut out however many sheets. Again, I need 9. So this is giving me 8. I think that's kind of the standard that I have going on right now. 5, 6, oh, I have 7 there. Oh yeah, this gave me 8 here. So I'll start working on these 8, and let's see how they end up looking in the next video.
Okay, sorry, I'm losing daylight hours fast. It gets dark here by 6 p.m. We get 12 hours of sun and 12 hours of dark. So trying to get this up quickly. So these are the cutouts from the manila envelope, manila folder. And so your silhouette will cut those out. This is what I printed on the greaseproof paper. These are the maps, and your silhouette will cut those out since we created cut lines. So you'll be able to have all of those cut out for you on your silhouette Cameo. Again, I don't have my machine here with me, so I'm gonna have to cut these out by hand. But still, it saved me a lot of work and helped me get the dimensions that I was wanting for with my ephemera for my ATC cards. I did create these stamps this size and this color, but when I printed them out, I didn't like it. The words were just too small for me, and I felt like the red coloring was too dark. So I went ahead and enlarged the file slightly, and I changed the tone to sepia. All of that, again, can be done within the Silhouette Cameo software itself. Then I also printed out the birds. I did this on draft mode. I'm not sure which one I'm going to prefer to paint on better. So this was just a basic draft print, and this was a full color print. So I can add this with the magical micas, but first I'm going to seal everything with hairspray and my matte medium so that the ink doesn't go everywhere on me when I'm trying to paint with my magical micas. So that's it for today. I hope this helped you figure out how to do your ATCs quickly with digital process. And in my next video, I'll show you how I'm going to put all of this together to create the mixed media ATCs. Thanks for watching.